Hey guys, in this video I'd like to go over my Nebuloch Jugg in Betrayal League. Also did one in Delve League, but I'll just kind of go over the whole thing here. So, Molten Strike, especially with recent nerfs to stat sticks and stuff, it's hard for me to argue that it's not the strongest melee skill in the game. It's really fucking strong. I played some other melee skills at the start of the league, and then soon as I said fuck it, rerolled Molten Strike, it was like I was playing a different game. It was that much easier. It's so flexible, you can do so much with it. You don't feel like you're ever starving for damage, you don't ever feel like you need more defense. You're just, as soon as you decide to play Molten Strike, you're good to go. So the only thing you lack kind of is clear speed. It's not the fastest clearing skill, it's pretty slow honestly. But raw output, raw defense, you can juice that shit up super fucking high. And from start to finish, even minimal 1C investment starting very first character of a league, it's going to be strong. So I'll just go over the Molten Strike-ness here. So weapons, Nebuloch, this is kind of like the chunky chunko. You can do it different ascendancies, like I said. You can go like Occultist or Scion. I've only played the Jugg version here, so Nebuloch synergizes really well with Jugg. We're running 10 endurance charges here, so we're getting a lot of mitigation, especially to elemental damage, but also basically 10 endurance charges and like some retarded amount of armor. I think I got like 45k or something with full buffs up. Physical damage doesn't really do anything to you, so also has really good damage, and we're dual wielding them. You could go with Bell Timbers, Grellwood Shanks also, with less gear, maybe a more offensive approach. You could go Lead Sprinklers, Hand of Wisdom in action for your int stacking. For chest piece, this league I went with a Lore Weave. Last league I had a crafted chest. I went Lore Weave because I wanted to stack curses specifically for Delve, but if I wasn't doing any Delve, I'd use a rare chest for sure. Crafted with like pristine serrated. You can see chest on other character that I had from previous league. Resist Flask got changed. They don't give max res anymore. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't bother with the Lore Weave. So, Belly of the Beast, you could use that also early on, or whatever rare baby chest you could get. But Lore Weave or a rare crafted chest, serrated, pristine, very good. You can also craft curses, extra curse on that now. So there's definitely options. Helmet, unless you're just trying to get, doesn't really matter so much the base as long as you're meeting the requirements, because like I said, if you got like 40,000 armor, getting a couple extra 100 really isn't going to do much. So it's mostly just, if you have the Dex or Int requirement and it has the Molten Strike enchant, you should probably get it. Crafted Scorch, Pristine, we're doing Pristine obviously for life, and then Scorched for minus resistances, so we do more damage. I don't really see any point to use any unique helm. You could use like Star Conjures or something, or I don't fucking know, Devotos, just whatever, but this whole character is made for, you know, doing as much damage and being as tanky as possible, so things like clear speed utility I've kind of neglected. Rings, Combs Ways, max endurance charges and the regen to help counter out the Nebulochs. My regen is pretty good, especially when I have Enduring Cry up and I'm standing in Consecrated Path juice. It's like 2k or something. So it's not like you're starving for regen, but it's definitely nice to have. Otherwise, before this, you could use the unupgraded version if you wanted, or just rare rings with life, resist, damage, whatever. Flat fizz, flat fire, they're both good. Lead, amulet, rare amulet with like fizz, lead, fire damage. What is it? Elder amulets can get extra damage, extra physical damage as fire, whatever added. That's very powerful too. It's what I used before. Alls. You can also go with Zolf's Blood, or in my case here, All's Uprising for the free anger. What else? Gloves, Tomb Fist. You get it with a curse. I used a curse version before this, but 2 socket is good. If you can get it even with some nice nice corruptions, that's fantastic. Belt. This is crafted Pristine, Scorched, Prismatic. You could, baby version, you could use like a Deceiver, just whatever rare belt you could get. With Wed. What else? Combs ways, or combs roots for boots. If you can get endurance charge, that is what you want. They're pretty hard to hit, maximum endurance charges, because there's so many stupid boot enchant or corruptions, but you could use enchant before attack speed, regen, whatever. But comes roots. Flask, Dying Sun's going to give you the extra damage from the projectiles, so you want that. Wise Oak for the fire pin and some mitigation if you can balance your resists. Other than that, we're, you know, triple flask here. Depending on what you're doing, what encounter, what you're doing in the game, you can move your flask around for sure. What else? Jewels. Flat, fire or fizz, attack speeds, onslaught, life, all that kind of stuff. Resistances can be pretty, they get harder and harder as you add more uniques to your character, so resists on jewels are very good. I use anger, so you can use Watcher's Eye. Fire Pin's probably your best if you're going that route for the extra damage. There's other stuff you can use for sure though. You can get multiple anger stuff, that's just that much better. Gems. Molten Strike, Wed, Ancestral Call. So the thing with Ancestral Call is if you're positioned just slightly outside of the normal melee range, you can spawn the dude as well, and you're basically kind of getting your little ghosted guy from the Ancestral Call and yourself spawning Molten Strike projectiles. So it's hard to really math that out, but it's a good single target gem still. Elemental Fuck Us. Clonk Effect or Ink AoE. If you're mapping, you might want Ink AoE if your damage is good. Last gem, Endurance Charge on melee stun. If you have a lot of endurance charges, you could also go Vicious Projectiles, even though it doesn't show up well in Path of Building. For most characters, even for this character, it's the strongest gem. I just don't want to bother with the extra mana multiplier since I'm pretty starved on mana, and I don't run Blood Magic. But Vicious Projectiles is definitely good too. Auras, they're going to be flexible. Like, I specifically do Delve on this character, and I just started stacking curses and stuff, but you can run Triple Purity. If you're not using like a Lore Weave, Triple Purity is really good. If you want damage, you got Anger, you have Herald of Purity, you have Herald of Ash, you got Arctic Armor if you want. There's a bunch of stuff you can use. Just depends on where you're at with your gear. It can always shift around depending. Mobility skill, I just have like Leap Slam Faster. You do like Leap Slam Faster, Fortify. I have my Conk Path on a Fortify because I like the instant animation of Conk Path versus Leap Slam, but you know, you can do normal standard 4-lane Leap Slam setup with Fortify, Ancestral Protector for, you know, the single target burst or whatever. War Banner, I pretty much just use this for Adrenaline, for burst damage. It's very good, I think. Also you get some extra accuracy. Blood Rage, standard stuff for the most part, but that's pretty much all that, blah blah blah. Skill tree. You could also use Vitality. That's I've seen people using that, haven't really messed too much with it. I used a little bit on bosses, and it's really nice to get the sustain, especially if you have like a life gain on height or life recovery rate. Watcher's Eye. Vitality is definitely a legit option. You can even do that on the alls as well, just depends. Experiment with that, whatever you're doing in the game. So skill tree, this is the OP part of Molten Strike, is that, well, our gear and setup can carry us so far that we pretty much don't need any damage nodes on the entire tree. So we're pure defense pretty much. They got like less than 10 damage nodes on the tree, something like that. Iron Grip, Point Blank, Elemental Overload, Avatar of Fire, Fusion's Off Blood, obviously you don't need that. Lava Lash. There's not very much else other than some little bit of damage while pathing, but for the most part you don't have to invest that much into damage nodes. You're just making your character as tanky as possible. Also, the endurance charges become damage and a lot of damage and a lot of tankiness per endurance charge you get on the tree, so they're really good. If you were to start from scratch on this character, like in a new league or something, you'd probably just standard melee kind of stuff, just scale up your physical, you know, get your Herald of Purity, Herald of Ash early, stuff like that. You probably have a decent time, maybe GMP early since you're not going to have a shit ton of projectiles. Definitely works. It's pretty good. Between Delve patch and this patch, I want to say that Molten Strike overall is probably buffed. I don't know if they intended to nerf it, but the fact that you only need 1 jewel now instead of 2, and then the whole base DPS of Molten Strike has been increased, but you lose projectiles. Overall, I think if it's not a fair bit better with decent setups, good setups, then it's close enough. So I don't know what their mentality was there, but yeah, that's what they did. I'm double curses. You don't have to do that specifically for delving. That'd be a completely different setup if I was just mapping / doing some bosses, but we're kind of at the end of the red for this character. And his gear could be better, but fire damage, some of this stuff I have jewels, fire damage, projectile damage, especially attack speed with maces. Your attack speed is going to be pretty aids, so attributes is nice too. Getting those jewels with attack speed, there's a couple different. You can get it on murderous jewels, whatever, abyss jewels. I think you can get dual wield attack speed as well. There's options, so. And if you really want to, you can invest a few points into attack speed, like Berserking's not too bad. Some of the maze nodes up here, I think, have some attack speed as well. So if you are too slow, you can't handle it, then yeah. Oh, I forgot to say, multi-strike mapping. You can go multi-strike in KoE. That's what I do. Might be better just to go like no multi-strike, just in KoE. You can mess around with your depends on how you like your how thorough you like your maps cleared. I don't really care how. I just want to get to the end for the most part, but multi-strike does kind of counter out elemental overload because it won't only roll once per multi-strike per 3 swings or whatever. So multi-strike, if you notice you're not proccing elemental overload while running multi-strike, that's why. That's why we don't use it on bosses. Don't run it on bosses. Elemental overload uptime will be probably pretty bad. Blah 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 blah. People wanted this. Oh, also you can do this with your belt if you want. Your endurance charges before you begin an encounter or do something. You can do it with gluttony. You can do it with the boots as well. There's also Elder or Shaper weapons. I don't know exactly which give you endurance charges when you're stationary on a weapon swap. You can do that. Yeah. Cool. I think that's about it, right? Video game.